It's ironic. These phones are not really being used as phones. Instead of talking to people, we're texting, and texting, and texting. We spend as much time on our phones texting than we do actually talking with our friends and family.
Each day, probably 4 or 5 hours.
5, 6 hours.
Probably about an hour.
Maybe like 3, 4 hours.
According to a study at Baylor University, approximately 60% of college students admit they are addicted to their phones. And with all this texting, where do students find the time to develop their conversation skills, especially when it counts the most, at job interviews?
I find that if we can get our salespeople in front of a customer, we probably have a 90% better chance of selling that customer because of the personal touch.
Anthony Marcus is the CEO of a biotech company. He says that face-to-face communication is one of the most important skills in the workforce.
And if college kids could communicate very well, they're at that much more of an advantage.
This device is a people avoider. In a survey by Bank of America Trends in Consumer Mobility, over 25% of Americans surveyed admit to using their cell phones as a crutch to avoid speaking to others. Another study at Kent State University suggests that the more students use their phones, the more anxiety they get about face-to-face communication. It's a way to avoid unpleasant feelings, like getting up in front of a classroom or public speaking. In CU Speak Toastmasters, students learn to ditch the high-tech security blanket. They become engaged in face-to-face conversation.
The benefits from Toastmasters are myriad. There's too much for me to brag about when it comes to Toastmasters.
Toastmasters is a club that's been around for nearly a century. Astronauts, politicians, and business people of all kinds used it to better their communication skills. For CU graduate student Adam Lau, he heard about Toastmasters from the grapevine and decided it would help him in his ambition to become a science teacher.
It's made me better at getting in front of classes to teach. It's made me better at getting in front of groups on a stage to speak. And it's made me better at speaking at museums and planetariums.
The day will come when Adam starts teaching. And then he'll find that many of his students will often not have the interactive skills to even look him in the eye. Face-to-face communication is a necessity in today's workforce. Whether you are studying aerospace engineering or teaching, over 70% of jobs involve some sort of public speaking. Jobs are the forefront of students' minds, and being able to speak will get them there. Lauren Sorge, News Team Boulder.